Hello, and welcome to another Rouge unit of the Reek. And today we're taking a look at the Panther D, available to a handful of Axis armor divisions. So during the late 30s, there was already machinations to replace the Panzer III and IV with a better model, essentially a Panzer V. Now, it didn't really come more to fruition till 1941 during the Operation Barbarossa, when the Germans saw the effectiveness of the effective use of sloped armor by the T-34s, and they thought, maybe if we have a sloped armor tank, we could kill more Russians. And so they went to the drawing board and ended up designing some prototypes. If you've played Rotor Tank, some of those prototypes is the VK30-02. There's two types, the MAN and the DB model. The MAN one would be the one you'd get through and be the actual production model of the Panther. But to put in perspective, the early models weighed roughly 30 to 35 tons. By, of course, when the Panther came off the production lines, it was up to 50 tons as Hitler wanted more armor, bigger gun, heavy tank nonsense, essentially. Yeah, it's go into production started January 1943 and be produced all the way till the end of the war. You had first see service during the Battle of Kursk, where they famously delayed the battle, and a lot of them broke down before they actually got to said battle, but it'd be used in great effect throughout the rest of the war, as they managed to produce over 6,000 of these Panthers, which is a lot, making it the third most mass-produced armoured tank yet the Germans made during the Second World War. Now, to actually talk about the effectiveness of the Panther tank is something I don't really feel like I'm qualified to say at the moment, as I'm still rather conflicted whether it was a good design, the Panther, or not, and there are good arguments for both sides of this debate, so I'm just going to leave it at that. But there are two things I want to talk about. First off is the actual turret, the gun mantlet, was a pretty silly design early on. It was a whole curved nonsense. That's a bad design, because if you were to shoot the lower plate of the mantlet, the round would bounce off into the top of the tank and kind of penetrate the driver or radio operator side, killing them, which isn't exactly good when your armor is working against you. You'd end up fixing it in later models by flattening out the mantlet itself. And the second thing I want to talk about is the whole name designation of the Panthers was pretty bloody stupid. Usually it's like A to, C, D, E, F, G, whatever nonsense. But the Panthers, the first one, the Panther D, the one we're talking about today, was the 1943 model. Then they went to the Panther A, which was the late 1943, early mid-44 model. And then you got the Panther G, which was the 44 to 45 model that they produced. So they kind of went from D to A to G and all back and forth. It doesn't really seem to be any bloody order. In game, a Panther D is a 250 point, it is 200 points with the employee discount at the first SS get. Available to Trophy SS Panzer Division, Panzer Lehr, Paris Division, and 1st SS Panzer Division, anywhere from B to C phase, and it has two sets of weapons. So for loadout, you got the long 75mm cannon with 6 accuracy, 6 rounds a minute, 17 AP with 45 shots, 4 HE with 35 shots, and 1.2 km range. This is the second most powerful cannon in game. I mean, if you're not including the Pupchin, because that's kind of like a Panzerfaust type thing. But yes, will mess up pretty much every single allied tank you come up against, unless it's a jumbo. So it's a very good gun, and it still has decent high explosive properties, even though it's more, purpose anti-tank weaponry. Then we got two MG34s. It's only 2 machine guns compared to the regular 3 machine guns that you get in most tanks, because it doesn't have a machine gun for the radio operator. Pop down to miscellaneous stats. It's got 13 frontal armor, 5 at side, 5 at back, and is an enclosed vehicle. Very bad stealth, a speed of 35 km off-road and 70 km on the road, and very low optics capability. So in battle, the Panther D is your more budget version of the Panther. It's the cheapest version. It's 250 points compared to the regular 280 that some can go for. Now, it's a very good tank still, as it's still like an Axis heavy tank. It can tank shots most of the time and has a very powerful gun. There is the age-old debate, What's better, the Tiger or the Panther D in B phase? And honestly, he has a good argument for both. I mean, there's a lot of different statistical differences that you can argue for and throw. The main thing I think you can boil it down to is the Panther D is better for tank hunting missions, as it has the higher penetration and a better armor, while the Tiger is better for more general fire support, as it has high HE values and better side armor if it does manage to get flanked. But at the same time, you can argue the Tiger's better because it still has higher veterancy most of the time compared to the Panther. So really it's a case-by-case basis. Just kind of pick what you feel comfortable with. Personally, I prefer the Tiger a little bit, to be honest, as I like having higher veterancy and higher side armor compared to the Panther, which kind of gets buggered if it does get flanked. And honestly, for all the decks, there's a pretty good argument to take the Panther D. For Trophus S, you can get them in B phase and ×2 per card, which is pretty good. For Pangela, you can get them in B phase as well, ×3 per card of run-style veterancy, which is really bloody good. That's Panther spam for you. Paris Division, you only get to a C phase, but it has 2-star veterancy. You only get 1 per card, but still, for Paris Division, that's pretty good having a 2-star veterancy heavy tank, even though it isn't as good as Panther A or G, but the veterancy really helps out. And for first assess, it is a must-have, because it's 200 points. 200 points. You can get 1 every 2 minutes and still have quite a bit of money left over to buy other stuff for first assess. You can just spam the shit out of him with first assess. But overall, the Panther D is still a solid heavy tank. It's not as cool as the A or G models and doesn't have the awesome veterancy unless you're Paris Division that the Tiger has, but it's still a workhorse of an Axis heavy tank that can still do lots of damage. Just make sure you don't get flanked, as you only have 5 side armor. And well, I'm going to leave it off there. It's been another Rang Rouge unit of the week. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and usual, please just take it easy.